This is JT, welcome to Bodyweight Strength, and in this video, what I'm going to do is make carnivore tacos. In order to make tacos, you've got to be okay with eating dairy. So whether you're keto or whatever kind of diet you're doing, or you're doing carnivore, as long as you're not super strict beef and water carnivore, if that's you, I don't know how to help you because there's really no recipes you can do. It's just beef and water. But with that being said, I'm going to show you a spice, a seasoning that I use that I put on all kinds of ground meats that's amazing. You can throw it on eggs, you can put it on anything. It's a very, very small amount of plant matter, but it's phenomenal. If I had to choose one thing to season everything with, it would be this. It makes ground beef taste like premium steak. It's super, super good. Okay, so I'm going to show you that, but I'm also going to show you how to make the cheese taco shells. And the reason I'm going to show that, I mean, there's tons of tutorials on how to do that. But what I found from trying to do it over and over is that you've got to have a really, really good non-stick pan. So I'm going to use ceramic, but if you've got a cast iron that you keep super non-stick, you can use cast iron. And the thing is, with the cheese shells, most tutorials tell you to cook one side and then flip it over for a few seconds on the other side and then hang the shell. But I find that makes them taste kind of burnt, and I don't really care to do it that way. So I only cook one side of the shell, and then I'll put the meat or whatever you're gonna put in the taco shell and then fold it and then take it out of the pan. So I'll actually bring the camera over here and I'll demonstrate that, and then that way you can actually see how it's done. So what you'll need is to get your pan nice and hot. I have it on a medium heat. I've been letting it sit for a minute to get the heat, evenly distributed throughout the pan. And then I very lightly brushed it with butter just to help ensure non-stick. Non-stick is super, super important for when you're trying to make a cheese shell. And then I have 1.5 ounces of cheddar cheese, which I weighed out because that gets them just about the right size. But obviously weighing it's optional. So this is 1.5 ounces of cheddar cheese, and you just put it in the pan. It's not rocket science. You're just letting the cheese melt. Kind of make sure it's evenly spread. And then you want to watch around the outside, and it should start to brown. Takes a little bit, but it should start to brown on the outsides first. And so when you see it start to brown, this is plastic or a silicone actually, so I'm not using metal on a non-stick surface. I saw Beto, I don't know his last name, the politician, on a video on Twitter scraping Teflon right into his burger with a metal utensil on a Teflon pan. So yeah, don't be Beto and don't do that. But basically, you want to watch the outsides for the browning. And when the outsides of the cheese shell start to brown, the middle is generally not going to be browned to the same degree. So if you try to take it off at that point, it's gonna like collapse on you. And so you won't have a very good cheese shell. So you can kind of start to pick the ends up a little bit, and I can see where it's browned already. Okay, so probably one more minute. You can see the oil in the middle, it's starting to brown. I can see it now. Okay. You're probably gonna have to practice with these to get a feel for how long it takes. And you kind of got, okay. So you can see how the middle is still a little bit sticky, you can see how the middle's still a little bit sticky while the outside's not. So that's what I meant by you kind of gotta, there we go, you gotta wait a minute and let the middle crisp up like the rest of it. And so I don't flip them over from here, which a lot of people do. I just take them out and stick them on a plate, and that's what it's going to look like. Okay, and then I've already got beef cooked ahead of time. So beef on the taco, obviously. And then I'm going to do dairy. So I'm going to go ahead and put some sour cream on it. And so if you are a stricter carnivore, meaning that you do dairy but you don't do any like spices really, then you could just do this with salt, and then that's basically going to be your carnivore taco. And if you are less strict carnivore, meaning that you'll season your foods, then this is chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. And this brand, only in a glass bottle, is what I'll use. And the reason is every brand I found, every single one in every size, including this brand, in their containers that are not a glass bottle, contain seed oils. And so this is the only kind that I can find that's seed oil free. And then basically it's going to be chipotle peppers and a little bit of garlic and tomato paste. So if you're not okay with, you know, a couple tablespoons of that in your beef, then obviously this is not applicable to you. But if you want a single addition that you can use if you're meal prepping to any ground meat that enhances the flavor like you wouldn't believe, it's crazy good. If you use a lot, it can be very spicy. If you use a small amount, it's going to add a really good flavor without being very spicy. So I added that to my taco, and I'm going to eat this. But you can try these at home, and if you're not gonna make tacos, but you want something that's gonna help make your ground beef and salt or whatever way more palatable for long-term adherence, then I highly suggest trying chipotles and adobo sauce. It's by far the best spicy condiment. I love spicy food. So for me, I think of it like common sense carnivore, right? Like I'm totally don't miss vegetables. I'm completely content with my diet, but from an enjoyment perspective and from a palatability perspective, ground meats are infinitely more enjoyable, and I look forward to eating them with this in it. And no, I don't think a small amount of garlic and some chipotles is gonna impact my health negatively, so I'm totally okay with slathering that across my ground beef. Your mileage may vary, but this is how I eat. That's how I do my carnivore tacos, and so hopefully that helps you guys out. Thank you for supporting my content. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Click the notification bell, and that way you're always aware of when I post new content.